Welcome back to From A to Franchisee. We are so happy to have you back. I'm Allison Dudas, normally the producer of the podcast, and I've taken over the mic from Michelle Rowan. Just kidding, she's still here. I'm just being controlling and I am pretending that I'm hosting. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, I am here for you leading this conversation today.
We are so happy to talk about low-cost franchise opportunities today. We are getting at the advantages of low-cost franchise opportunities, and also we are officially releasing our list of the top 50 low-cost franchise opportunities for 2026. Woo woo!
Yeah, we're going to tell you some of the brands on it. We're going to talk about the data. We're going to talk about advantages of low cost. So we want you to stick through this whole conversation. We think it'll help you.
Yeah. So low-cost franchises is one of like the common search terms that we see on Google, on everywhere, because people want to know if they can invest in a franchise and not take out a huge loan, for example. And many people hear low-cost franchise and they assume things like it's a smaller opportunity, it's a side hustle, or that there's limited growth. But we are here to really push against that perception because that is not what our data shows.
Yeah, we really want to get people thinking differently about what a low-cost franchise opportunity is, where it could be a smaller opportunity, it could be a side hustle. But these are really models that are built leaner. They're usually service-based models. So thinking about what you put in, so a lower investment, does not mean that there's less money you can get out of your business, less profit. So we want to just kind of get people to understand what a low-cost opportunity means. And if you're investing less upfront, it means that you could actually break even quicker. It does not mean there's limited earning potential. So that's what we want to talk about today and talk about the data that why these people are on this list, how we get there.
Yeah.
Okay. So in case this is your first time stumbling across our podcast, welcome. We're excited you're here. We're trying to help educate people on the opportunities that franchising offers and also help you figure out if this is the right space for you to be in, if you're thinking about making a change, or figure out that it's not. We're okay with that too. So I want to start with how we get this data. We invite any franchise system with 10 franchisees or more to participate in our research, and there is a no-cost option. And we do that because we think it's really important that our lists are truly based on franchisee feedback. So we are going out to the franchise owners in these networks that participate and asking them for their feedback. So this list is based on brands that have an average initial investment of $100,000 or less. That was our criteria that we looked at. And that's how we come up with our top 50 2026 low-cost opportunities this year. So the top low-cost franchises list really is highlighting brands that require lower startup capital, they have strong franchisee satisfaction, and they've demonstrated support and operational success in their franchisees running their business, growing their businesses. Let's start digging into the advantages that we see of a low-cost opportunity of these brands that are on this list.
Lower risk for first-time owners, for business owners, it's just a lower risk. It's more accessible entry into entrepreneurship. If you are really wanting to own a business, it can feel extremely daunting, especially when you consider some of the franchise brands that come to mind when you think of franchising. The big ones, right? Mostly food, et cetera. And some of those can be millions of dollars in investment. But the reality is there are so many different kinds of franchises, and some of them really are very accessible. So it's lower startup capital, and it's a smaller financial risk. Additionally, it's a faster path to ownership. So many buyers can start without having massive loans, which I think will make most people feel better, right? You're not getting into something with like a giant loan. And then it means that it's an easier opportunity if you want to change your career. Maybe you're in the corporate world. Maybe you are a stay-at-home parent looking to get back into the workforce. It's just an easier transition.
Yeah, I think that another advantage that we want to really talk about is that these are usually leaner business models, which means that it won't take as many people to run or to execute what your product or service is. So the common things that we do see of brands on this list that they might be home-based opportunities or mobile. It might be what we refer to as a chuck in a truck. So you have a person that's driving around to deliver this service. And we see when you're home or you are in a mobile type of business, you don't have a real estate cost. So there's that overhead. Those monthly bills are kind of way lower.
Yeah.
The
I'm
other
thinking
thing,
of like Heaven's Best carpet cleaning. I'm thinking of Conserva irrigation, businesses that are based more out of trucks, and expanding means investing in more trucks, but you can start with just one truck.
that's right. You can ease into it. So yeah, anything that's serving a home service or it might be commercial based. So it's people that are driving to their customer to deliver their service. The other thing is that they're usually smaller teams. So like you said, if you want to scale your business, you're adding people as the demand from your customers is there. So you can
Right.
start usually owner operator and
Right.
not have employees and kind of ease into it. And then it's usually a very easy business to execute in comparison to, I'm thinking like food or retail, where you have inventory, you have just a lot more complexity to your business that you're dealing with. So this really creates much lower overhead, which allows you to scale easier. And it also allows you to break even and get profitable fast.
Yep.
Yeah, we like that.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, the best low-cost brands on this list are really built around that simple to execute operations model.
Yeah, I think about like Be Organized, which is one of our brands, which is franchisees are helping organize people's homes, offices, etc., and how lean that is. You can start just as one person moving to people's homes and helping them, and then you can expand. Or even, let's see, Card My Yard is an interesting business model. Yeah, which really expanded a lot during the pandemic.
That's right.
Where people are putting cardboard signs on their yard. They are literally guarding their yard.
Yeah, yeah.
It's in the name, people. But a lean, mean fighting machine, right? Tip Top Canine, Soccer Stars. There's so many good opportunities here.
And a lot of variety.
A lot of variety. Like you would think that low cost would just be maybe like one sector, but it isn't. It's very varied. It's very varied. All right. So the third advantage, which shouldn't come as a surprise, just given the explanations we've already provided you with, is lifestyle flexibility. A lot of times, and this isn't true for every brand on this list, but a lot of times these brands that make our low cost list offer a lot of lifestyle flexibility, which I think most people are really thinking about when they are moving into working for themselves. They want a better work-life balance.
I think about a lot like the sandwich generation, the people that are caring for kids, caring for aging parents. Like I need income. I've got lots of people I need to help, but I need to be able to be with the people when they need me.
Yeah,
so,
I need to be flexible.
Yep.
I need to be available. I'm thinking of like Senior Care Authority, which is a senior care franchise that works more. Its franchisees are consulting families. And the people who love these aging folks to figure out what their next steps are. So you don't need an office. You can start pretty lean. You can make your schedule based on your availability, your client availability.
Or what about like Just Between Friends and Ray Alana's, where they're doing event-based franchising? So they're scheduling a big event, kind of like a swap of people to come and trade children's clothing and what do you call the accoutrement that go with your kids, like your strollers, So you're like planning that event, and then it's an event-based franchise, and really all that business is done around when that event is happening in their community.
Right.
Yeah, it's very unique.
It is very unique. I'm looking too, and obviously brands like cruise planners are going to pop up on here, where many people who invest in this franchise brand started as a side hustle. It's something that they can do while they're working their full-time job, but then expand into something else where they're planning people's vacations, and if it takes off for them, it can be something where they're still just working one of them, or working independently, or they're hiring more people to assist.
Yeah. I think that what we see in the data that really supports this is that work-life balance is a real driver on franchisee satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's And that's absolutely one of the questions that we ask in these surveys that we send out to franchisees yearly. We ask them about their work life balance. We ask them about their income. We ask them about how they're feeling about the business. And that's how we make these lists. So it really has to do with like, well, I mean, obviously, like franchisee satisfaction. How
Mhm.
satisfied are you? How content are you with this path for yourself?
Yeah, I like it. All right. The next advantage that I want to kind of address is scalable growth. So we talked about it a little bit in the beginning as far as it could start as a side hustle, or you can kind of control your growth and see what that consumer demand is. But I think a misconception that a lot of people have for low cost opportunities is means that I'm going to be a small business owner forever.
Right.
And that's not what we see, is that you have the opportunity to expand your territory in a lot of cases. You have the opportunity to own multiple brands that have the same kind of idea of low
Yep.
cost model, maybe complementary services that make sense. The customer that you're serving, you could potentially have 3 or 4 different things within that. In that space, you're already in the home.
Can you give an example of something
Yeah,
like that?
well, so there's big platform brands. Neighborly comes to mind.
Sure.
5 Star, like they have a painting, they have a plumbing. So I think that what you see is that you could own multiple brands. You're already servicing that customer, and
Right.
if you're trying to help homeowners, there's a lot of opportunities because the trades are a very hard thing to get into your house. So I think you could kind of think about who you're already serving. What's that next need they have? You have their attention.
Right.
And then also too, you can build your teams over time. So we talked about the truck model. There's also there's like BNI where they're doing networking events.
Yeah.
So like you scale your business by how many events you want to be involved in. You can have other people that work for you that are doing this and representing the brand. So I think you have control over how you build your team and how you grow, which is nice that it is scalable, but also too that you're the limiting factor
Right.
or you're the driver of
Right.
how much you want to grow.
It's really, really up to you. Yeah, and I think about I'm looking at our list right now, and I'm looking at brands like, maybe you are in Realty One, you're a realtor, and then you also get into a restoration, like Restoration One franchise, or you get into Ideal Siding. Like all of these franchise brands can really talk to each other, really work together, even if they're not under the same parent company. So the low cost options, I think it's more likely that you're going to become like a multi-brand, multi-unit, a mumbo, if you will,
Yeah.
franchisee.
Yeah, or buying more territories from your current
Yes, that's so true.
franchise.
Okay.
Okay, so you did talk about some of the areas that we're asking about. So training and support, I think that's one that we really focus in on. The leadership team, how well are they driving the brand forward? How tuned in to the franchisees are they? Are they using the franchisee? What's happening in the local market to understand how to drive their business forward? And these leaders, I think, are these leadership teams are really, I think, tuned in to the experience of their franchise owner. And I always want to kind of have this, it's not a caveat, but I want people to understand that it's not always a sunshine and roses kind of relationship between franchisors and franchisees. I think we talk about this on most episodes.
Yeah, we do.
But it's really about how do you work through those things and understanding the roles. The franchisee, I always say, kind of owns what their business is in their market. They know their community if they're doing things well. They know what that experience is for their consumer. But your franchisor has to really think about the brand from a much higher level, from a bigger picture. And so what works in your market might not make sense for across the whole brand. So while you're running your business, your franchisor, that executive team is really focused on how to protect the brand, how to innovate, how to grow it. So they're testing, they're doing things that are usually behind the scenes. Hopefully they're communicating some of that. And so I think these teams are doing a really good job of explaining the why. Why are we moving in this direction, or why don't we offer this service or this product? So I think that it's healthy that there's not always alignment between franchisees and franchisors, but I think how you communicate through that and really understanding your role as the franchisee is to run this business in your market, and your franchisor is really doing everything to make sure when you exit your business, you're going to get the best return on your investment. That's really the role of the franchisor, right?
Yeah. That's a really good point. Yeah, and just these brands stand out not because they're perfect, but because the communication between franchisor and franchisee is really good, and that their training and support's really good. Their marketing's really good. Their franchisee community culture is really good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we ask about in these surveys, and these are things to take note of. And the benefit too, so if you go to our low cost list, which I hope you will at franchisebusinessreview.com, and you look, a lot of these brands do actually share their complete franchisee satisfaction reports. So you can download them and you can read actual feedback from franchisees. Like you can read, you know, John Smith's comments about what it's like to own a 360 Clean in Louisiana, right? Like he might say, oh, I love this aspect of the business, and oh, I rank this really, really high. And you can get a sense, especially if you're like, like I really want to know about this certain aspect. Like maybe I am a really quick learner, and I'm really, really good at this, but I really suck at marketing, and I want to know what their marketing support is like. Well, you can actually find that out from a lot of these brands that decide to share their data on our site. So I hope that you will do that, because these brands, these 50 brands, it's not a lot of brands, right, are really standing out and are worth your time.
Yeah. And I would say too, even the brands that don't share it on our site, you can ask them directly for the reports. And then I also want to say, this is where we're going to start giving advice to people that are looking at franchising, is that our report is in no way put out there as a way to replace you talking to franchisees in the system. This is to help you. But the idea is it's so crucial to talk to franchisees. So when you're learning and you connect with a brand directly, you're going to work with the corporate team and you're going to learn from them and ask them questions. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to talk to the franchisees as well. So let's talk about some advice that we have for good questions to ask of these low-cost opportunities.
That's great. And, just a note too is you can kind of use our data as like a preliminary research, and it might really rule out some brands for you. And then it might help you hone in on some certain brands. And then when you hone in on those brands, you can begin to speak with the franchisor, and you can maybe obtain the FDD. And the FDD is going to have a list of all of the current franchisees, and that's how you contact them. So when you are contacting franchisees, the things that you should ask, I love the question of what's it look like in the first year? What kind of support does it look like in the first year? Because I think that that's the part that most people are the most stressed out about. That initial, like, I made that investment, I'm starting my business. What's it going to look like?
Yeah.
How in over my head am I going to feel?
Well, and I think the corporate team is going to lay that out for you. But I think what you ask the franchisee is, how accurate was it? Was it what you expected? I mean, because I think that also too, you're going to be overwhelmed. You're learning the brand, you're learning the business, you're starting something new. So you want to know how much support you have from both the corporate team and the franchisees around you. Those are good questions to ask, I think, both the corporate team and franchisees when you're talking to them.
And then one of my favorite, I keep saying all of these are my favorite questions, but that's one of the reasons is because I get to talk to franchisees a lot. I also love to ask them what a typical day looks like. When you think about owning a Tip Top Canine, or when you think about owning a premier pool service, I want to know, like, what's your day like? I don't know. Are you alone a lot? Are you talking to clients? Are you answering the phone? Are you home for dinner? Are you up really early? Are you working odd hours? Like, ask all those things.
Well, and I think another one too is, are you an owner operator?
Yep.
Are you doing the service?
Yeah.
Or are you really building your customer base and you're hiring people to do the service? So I think that's a good one to ask too.
That is a good
one. And can
you
scale into it that way?
Yeah.
Are you cleaning pools?
Right.
Or are you hiring people to clean pools?
Yes. Because people are going to want to do it different ways. Some people are going to get into it and be absolutely hands-on, and some people are going to right away be like, no, I want to hire people. And then it's also good to know, like, how long they've been in the business. Because if somebody's been in their business for 7 years and they're still grinding in the daily life of the business and still providing the service, that's an important thing to note, because maybe that's not what you want for yourself. Maybe you're hoping that after several years of ownership, you're able to step back.
Yeah.
I think that that's what I would want, but I also know that there are people out there, who want to grind, who want to get into it, who want that immediate connection with their clients. So I don't want
Or
to
we'll
discount that.
kind of also say that that's the person that's really buying their job.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Like
Yeah,
if you
yeah.
go into it knowing that I just need to replace this amount of income and I would be happier doing this working for myself than doing this working for someone else, that's totally okay. What your franchisor is going to want from you is somebody that does have that expansion mindset. So asking those questions of, did you break even when you thought you would break even? Have you scaled your business? How did you scale your business? I think knowing that up front is good. You can always change it, but I think to have a plan of, do I really just want to limit myself to this one thing and that's going to do well, then you find those franchise owners in the system and you talk to them. If you think that this will be an opportunity that you'll expand within that brand, ask them to connect you with the franchisees that have really done that and talk more with them about their path on how they scaled.
That's great advice. You should also ask, and this is more for the franchisor, how long typically do franchisees stay with the brand? Now, obviously, you're signing a franchise agreement. Normally, franchise agreements are like 10 to 15 years, but like that doesn't mean that you can't exit before then. But just, how long is this relationship lasting? Are franchisees and franchisors staying in this kind of long term? And that absolutely connects to like how scalable it is, because franchisees are probably more likely to stay in the business if they're growing and moving and all of that developing. And then one of the questions you definitely want to ask is, would a franchisee invest again? That's one of our favorite questions to ask franchisees. It's one of our benchmark questions. Would you recommend this franchise to others? If you could do this again, would you? And that's so important to know. And we'll get into the data in a minute about what these franchisees of these top 50 low-cost franchise opportunities say.
Yeah, I want to do that now.
Oh, okay. Let's do it now.
Yeah.
Why delay? Why delay?
I think it's why a lot of people are here.
Yes, let's hope.
So for this particular report, we had over 11,000 franchisees participate that are in that segment of under $100,000 or less investment. 130 brands total fit that criteria, and we came up with our 50 winners from that. These 50 brands on our low-cost list have 15 to 20% higher average franchisee satisfaction. The top brands are scoring 30 to 40% above our franchise benchmark. So that means these business owners are very, very happy in these 50 brands. So it's a great place to start your research. You want to share some of the data too?
Yeah, let's do it. So brands on the top 50 low-cost franchises list, 93% of them would recommend their franchise to others. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
That is nuts.
That's really high. 91% enjoy operating their business.
And again, I think that we see these numbers in our overall benchmark are still pretty high. So like franchising as a whole, I think is around 80% would recommend, which is still really high.
It is still really
But
high.
I wanted to provide that context because 93 is pretty amazing.
I mean, that is an A, my friend.
That is an A.
To bring it back to school. 90% enjoy being a part of their franchise organization. And 90% respect their franchisor, which is a great question to ask.
Yeah. I mean, it speaks to the culture of the organization that you're going to be part of, and it's going to influence the business that you're building. So those are important questions.
So a typical low-cost investment, the median is a $30,000 down payment with a median total startup cost of $86,000.
I think that is very good information to have and share. When we look at the demographics of these franchisees, the median age is 50 years old. I should open one. I'm 50. And the median years in business is 3 to 4 years. So a typical franchise agreement is 10 years. I think that's important to also share with people. So just kind of getting a sense of where these people are in their journey as a franchisee.
Yeah, so it's good to know, because that's not that long being in your business, 3 to 4 years, and then these brands are still getting pretty great feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed.
Cool.
All right, so we're going to leave it like we always do. Go to our site.
Yes.
Get these 50 brands.
Yes.
Talk to franchisees. We cannot stress that enough. They are a fountain of knowledge.
A fount, if you will. And what a great time to invest in a low-cost franchise brand.
Agreed.
All of these brands, if you take a look, they are very useful services that are being offered. These are not like, buy this obscure thingamajig that you need once every full moon under Mercury rising. You can tell how much I know about astrology. Like these are services that you're like, oh yeah, no, everybody needs this. Everybody needs,
We've got cleaning and maintenance. We've got real estate.
tax services.
Most importantly, we have travel. I mean,
Travel.
everybody needs to travel.
Everybody needs to travel.
We've got it all on this list.
Yes, we've got senior care. We've got child enrichment. I mean, there's just a wide variety. So, take a look and see what piques your interest.
Yeah. And I think the most important thing that we want to leave you with is a lower cost investment in a franchise does not mean it's a smaller opportunity or lower profit. Some of the happiest franchise owners that we survey and some of the most successful franchisees that we survey are running these very lean service-based brands. So we highly recommend that you check them out.
Definitely. Best of luck to all of you. Ta-ta. We at Franchise Business Review are always looking for new ways to support people who are curious about investing in a franchise. That's why we created the new Food and Beverage Sector Report. If you're curious about the food and beverage industry, you've got to download this free report on our site. This will give you insight into what this industry is like, from salary to how many hours on average franchisees work per week. You need to have this resource. Visit franchisebusinessreview.com/food to download your free copy today.